Good morning.
Good morning. I only got these packets, but I never received my math packet yet.
Still no math? Okay. I put down, you might, I sent your information to Dean Foreman. So they're going to be sending you out a new one. Hopefully it's just the math, and you might end up getting all three. So you could just end up with extra copies, but.
Because I only have scope. I only have these.
So that's the scope and sequence for, yeah, because the math one will say, it says math on the front. It says 4th grade math.
This one's like Miss Garcia's, right?
Yeah, so one of them, did you get, it's just one or two?
Two.
Okay, yeah, so you
This
probably
is
have the
math.
reading.
No, this is not math. This is reading.
Reading, and then science and writing. Okay. All right, so hopefully they'll get that out to you by this week. Until then, it's just gonna be using blank sheets of paper, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning.
Morning. Bless you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go get water real quick.
Okay. Let me get the pages up for today. All right, so we're doing Module 7, Lessons 1 and 2 today, so we'll be starting on page 42.
Alexia and Juliana, have either of you girls heard from Faith?
Wait, what?
Have either of you heard from Faith?
No.
No? Okay. Because she was on that very first week she came on, but she hasn't been back on since.
She's been posting a lot on TikTok.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
I mean, I can't find her number now, but like I can see if Ellen can talk right now, and I can ask her.
Okay.
I haven't heard from Ellen.
Yeah, Ellen should be coming on this week too. I finally got a hold of her mom. Good morning, Joseph.
Morning.
Good morning, Alex.
Morning.
Okay, Alex and Joseph, those of you just hopped on. These are the pages we're working on today, okay?
Page 48,
We'll be starting on page 42.
42, 44.
What'd she say, Alexia?
That's not Faith. That's someone else. She keeps copying my text messages ever since. And I thought she was over that, but she's still doing it.
Who?
Why is this prank? I don't know. They do these chats and I don't know. Like you, who does chats? There's 11 people in them. Then she does another 11 people. I don't even know why I did that.
We'll wait a few more minutes.
What do you want me to ask Faith?
Just ask her if she's able to get online
Okay.
for these.
this girl's keep copying me. Look. She's sending all the photos I sent her.
Maybe they're
Who
just
is it?
bouncing back.
Are
Did
you
I think of that?
texting yourself? Are you texting yourself?
No. See, picture. Picture. Ever since it started, really?
Who are you sending them to?
Faith and another person.
It
Man,
could just be bouncing back.
the last time she texted, it was
So say something. So say something.
23rd. She texts good morning, and that's the only time she texts in this chat.
If she says something, copy off of her.
Okay, it's 6 after, so we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, if you don't have your packet, just a blank sheet of paper. We are moving on to Module 7. So Module 7 is all about measurements. And you guys remember at the beginning of the year when we did measurements? We did metric measurements and we were converting just the easy ones like meters, centimeters, millimeters. You guys remember that? So everything was like times 10 or times 100 pretty much. We went from liters to millimeters and then we went grams and kilograms. So that was at the beginning of the year. Now we are working on what they call customary measurements, all right? And those can be divided into 4 sections. There's length, okay, when we're talking about how far or how long something is. There's volume and capacity. That is dealing with liquids, okay? How much liquid does something hold? How much liquid can fit into a certain container? Then there's weight and mass. So how much does something weigh? And then finally, time. Time is going to be the easiest one. We're all very familiar with seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years, right? So the ones we're working on today are going to be weights. We're going to work on length. We won't be doing the mile. We'll only be doing yards, foots, inches. And then we'll be working on volume. Volume's the hardest just because there's a lot more in them. So when we look at length, we just have inches, feet, and yards. When we look at weight, weight's pretty easy. There's only one we're focusing on today, is going from ounces to pounds. But then when we look at volume and capacity, we won't be doing ounces today, but there's cups, pints, quarts, gallons. There's a lot more in there, okay? So lesson 1 is just gonna be length and weight. Now, the good news is, see, STAR, grade 4 reference materials, that means you don't have to memorize this, okay? It'll always be there for you. So when you take like a big test, like the STAR, it's already there. Now, when you take like the MAP test, that's when you would have to remember what this was. But when it comes down to the STAR, you don't have to memorize this. It's already there for you. All right, so this is a part where you're going to do some writing because you guys don't have the practice sheets in your packets. So what I want you to do on lesson 1 first, the first thing we're writing down is the conversion from pounds to ounces. So I drew it out. You don't have to draw it out. You just need to write out that 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces. So on a blank area somewhere on your problem set or on a blank sheet of paper, find some space to do this. And you're going to put down that 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces.
take a while because I have to write almost like everything down.
That's okay. Juliana, what was the password you put in for today?
It was 919288.
It's weird that it did that. Do you have a question, Darian? No? Okay.
My mom was saying something, but I don't know what my mom was showing me something, so I don't know what worksheet one.
With what?
My mom was showing me something, so I don't know what worksheet one.
Oh, okay.
What page are you
You might have to type it in, buddy, because the microphone, I can't really hear what you're saying.
Loud. He wants to know what page we're on.
Oh, okay. We're on page, this doesn't have a page. The page we will be on is page 42. Okay, so we figured out pounds and ounces, right? So this right here is called an input-output table. All right, it's called an input-output table because we put numbers in on one side, and once we do the conversion, then the output side is where we have the conversion. So 1 pound is worth how many ounces? $16, right? So that means to get from this side of the table to this side of the table, what did I have to do? We multiply by something. So what do we multiply by? Y'all can unmute, it's fine. Alex, what does it look like we multiplied by to get from 1 to 16? 1 times what?
16?
Yeah, exactly, 16. So what we're figuring out is however many pounds we have, we multiply that by 16 and we get the number of ounces. So 2 pounds would be how many ounces? 2 times 16 is 32. If I wanted to figure out how many ounces 5 pounds equals, what would I do? Yeah, multiply it by 16, right? 16 times 5, 30, 80. Okay, what if I gave you a number of ounces and I asked you to figure out how many pounds it was? What would we do to figure that out? What if I told you I have 128 ounces? Which side of the input-output table would it go into? Left or the right? What do you think, Julie? I'm gonna go Juliana, what do you think? If I told you I have 128 ounces, what side of the table does it go on?
The ounces?
Yes, so the right side. So I have 128, right? What would I do to figure out how many pounds that equals?
Multiply it.
Divide.
Yes, divide, right? So if I'm going from left to right and I'm multiplying, if I want to go from right to left, I'm just doing the opposite, right? So I would divide it by 16, all right? It equals 8. So 8 pounds is the same as 128 ounces. So that's how we work input-output tables, all right? So what is the rule when we're converting pounds to ounces? What are we multiplying by?
16.
That's right. 1 pound. Pound, when we abbreviate it, is LB times 16 gives us our answer in ounces. Okay, so just make sure somewhere on your sheet of paper on page 42, you have this on there. 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces. All right, now we are moving on to length. Length is much easier than weight because 16 is a very odd number to have to multiply by. So when we're moving from yards to feet, when we are converting or changing, converting means to change from yards to feet, 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So go ahead and write that one down. Okay, so we got that one. All right, so here's another input-output table. Yards are on the left, feet are on the right. What am I multiplying across to go from yards to feet?
Three.
Yes, by 3, right? Because 1 yard equals 3 feet. How did I get from 1 to 3? I multiplied by 3. So 3 yards equals how many feet?
12. 12.
3.
9.
9, good. Okay. 5 yards equals how many feet?
It's 15.
15. Okay. Well, what if I tell you I have 45 feet? How do I figure out how many 45 feet is? Once you have the answer, go ahead and text it into the chat box.
Miss Bell,
Yes.
what was the question again? Because I wasn't able to hear because I was still trying to write this down.
Okay, so I'm saying if we have 45 feet, how do I figure out how many yards we have? Okay, waiting on all the answers. Let's see. All right, Juliana, yeah, you're right. You're gonna divide, but what are we dividing by? Remember, when we moved from yards from the left side to feet to the right side, when we moved this way, we were multiplying by 3. But now we're in the right side. So when I move from right to left, I'm doing the opposite. So if I was multiplying by 3 to go from left to right, if I want to go from right to left, I have to divide by 3. So what is 45 divided by 3? Okay, 45, we divide it by 3. 3 can go into 4 one time, multiplied out. 1 times 3 is 3. Subtract, I have 1 remaining. Bring down my 5 in the ones place. How many times can 3 go into 15? 5 times. Multiply it out. 5 times 3 is 15. I have no remainders. So 15. Does that make sense? I see quite a few of you are still, you were trying to multiply it across, right? But if I know the information on the right side, I have to divide to figure out the left side. It's always opposite. So let's try one more then. How about if I have 60 feet? I'm just going to continue. If I have 60 feet, how many yards does that equal? Abby, you guys don't have this paper. I posted it on the Google Drive, but in your packet, you don't have this page. Sorry. Okay, Jay, I'm going to ask you, if I'm going from feet to yards, am I multiplying by 3 or dividing by 3?
Dividing.
Good, yeah. No, you're right. If I'm moving from right to left, I'm doing the opposite of what I did up here. I'm dividing by 3. So if I did 60 divided by 3, what would I get?
20.
There you go. So 60 feet is equal to 20 yards. Okay? Is everyone kind of understanding this, or are we still having a little bit of hard time understanding the input-output charts? So when we're using these, first we have to figure out the rule. Usually it'll give us something on here, and then it'll give you a few over here. But because we already know the conversion, 1 yard is 3 feet, we're able to put in for the first one, right? And then we can figure out the rule for our input-output chart. We figured out that the rule was we're multiplying times 3 to get from yards to feet. But then when we go the opposite way, if I know feet, but I do not know yards, I have to do the opposite. So the opposite of multiplying by 3 is dividing by 3. All right, I wanted to work a lot on this one since it was only multiplying and dividing by 3, which is easier than this next one, which will be multiplying and dividing by 12. All right, so for this one, we're going from feet to inches. This one we should know pretty well because we're all familiar with rulers, right? A ruler is a foot long, and in a ruler is divided into 12 inches. So this is one you need to write down somewhere on page 42. Just write 1 foot equals 12 inches. Okay, so when you look at your input-output chart, what is the rule? What are we doing? Juliana, I'm going to ask you, what's going to be the rule? From feet to inches. 1 feet is how many inches?
12.
12, right? So what's the rule going to be? We're always multiplying by what?
12.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys are going to do 2 feet and 3 feet. Go ahead. You'll put the answer in the chat. Okay. Tell me how many inches is 2 feet and how many inches is 3 feet.
I'll be right back.
Good. I have Darian's. I have Juliana's. Good, Alexia. I'm going to give you guys about 90 more seconds. Good, Abby. Good, Joseph. Good, Jay. Okay, so 2 feet, we know that the rule is we're multiplied by 12. 2 times 12 is 24. So 2 feet is equal to 24 inches. 3 feet multiplied by 12, 36. 3 feet is equal to 36 inches. Now, reviewing the rules, if I know how many inches I have, let's say I'm telling you I have 60 inches. How do I figure out how many feet that is equal to? You guys don't have to answer it. You don't have to give me the answer just in the chat box. I want you to give me a number sentence on how to solve it. So in this case, I'm working on the right side. I know how many inches I have. I'm trying to figure out how many feet. What's your question, Darren?
I don't know why my hand is raised. It
Oh.
shouldn't be.
Okay, I can lower it. All right. Alexia, you have a question?
Can I still use the bathroom real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. All right, Darian, I see, yes, you got it right. Juliana, yes, you got it right. But tell me, what are we doing it by? Number sentence. You told me what operation we're going to use, but put it into a number sentence.
Wait, can you say the question again?
Yeah, so if I have 60 inches, write me a number sentence to figure out how many feet. So when I had one feet, my number sentence to figure out inches was 1 times 12 equals 12. That was a number sentence.
No, I meant like what you said after.
About writing a number sentence or what? Or what I specifically said to what you put?
You said something after. You didn't?
I don't remember.
Oh.
Sorry. Yeah, Darian, better. Good. Jay, good. All right, so the number sentence I was looking for is, for first, you guys figured out that if I'm moving this way, I have to divide by 12. So my number sentence would be 60 divided by 12. And that would be 5. 5 feet is equal to 60 inches. All right, so the 3 things I want you to be able to take away from what we just did right now, all right, is you need to know the conversions. Right? You need to know 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces, 1 yard is equal to 3 feet, and 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. Make sure you have those 3 things written down, and then we're going to move into the problem set. Does everyone have them written down? Yes?